Welcome to the first episode of the On a Yellow podcast, brought to you by CMRU, by students, for you. I'm your host, Liam Taylor, and I'm with Zach Cathcart, and we are going to have a very fun episode. We've designed it to be basically talking about the Champions League, and as the Champions League started yesterday. All right, Zach, what do you want to start with?
I mean, we could talk about the Qarabağ upset.
Definitely. The Qarabağ upset was absolutely crazy. So for the listeners here and the viewers later on, the Qarabağ FC, so it's a team in...
They're out of Azerbaijan.
Azerbaijan, yeah. So a team in Azerbaijan, and they beat Benfica, a big Portuguese giant that's around... They're like second in the league right now in Portugal, I believe.
Yeah, massive team.
Massive team. They beat them in the 80th minute. It was a beautiful finish by the one guy, but they beat them 3-2. The one guy, I forgot his name. I can check. I haven't written down right now. Obviously, Qarabağ is a team that you don't normally talk about, so I have to look at the name. His name is Oleski Kashchuk. And basically, he took the ball at the half turn and hit a beautiful shot with his left foot. And, well, the rest is history, an absolute upset.
Yeah, the squad values aren't even remotely close to one another.
No, it's actually crazy.
Benfica's worth a whopping 185 million euro, and Qarabağ's only at 7.1 million. So no one's seen this coming. It was a shock to everybody.
Really, I mean, it was a shock to the Benfica owners, who right after that sacked their manager, Bruno Lage.
Not good looks for him there.
No, obviously, and they sacked him because of it. And with that as well, Jose Mourinho is now linked with the club. What's your thoughts on that?
I mean, he's the special one for a reason.
Exactly.
And maybe he can help turn things around in Benfica. I know a lot of teams were interested in him.
Yep.
He said personally he was going to go to a lower table English team that wasn't in Europe, but maybe his thoughts are changed on that, and he's getting more money, so maybe that's a big issue for him.
Yeah, I think another thing is he's back in Portugal. Obviously, he's Portuguese. Had most of his fame, which came from, Chelsea, but also came from Porto, right? So he won the Champions League for Porto, and obviously, I think coming back to Benfica, he started his managerial career at Benfica. And I think it would be good for Benfica. The thing is that I never really understood about it is it was an upset, but the thing that I didn't really understand is, Benfica's second in the league right now, and they had a really good start to the season before that game. They won, they're undefeated with 3 wins and 1 draw in the first couple of games of the season, the first 4 games of the season. So obviously, I don't really know the narrative of sacking the manager. Obviously, I wanted Amorim out when we lost against Grimsby Town, but of course, the management didn't execute that idea.
I mean, it happens a lot to Turkish managers.
Yep.
Same happened to Beşiktaş manager. There's many opportunities over there for coaches to come in after their predecessor loses 1 game.
Yep.
They're very quick to make decisions like that.
Is that quick decision making, would it benefit them or will it actually ruin it? Because now the team, Benfica is a good team, but obviously now they have to adjust to a different system, a different way of playing. I don't really know what Bruno Lage played, but Mourinho's role is extremely or his managerial style is really unique, right? He has that park the bus style, right? Get one up and then, defend it out and try to kind of make your home ground a fortress.
It seems kind of opposite to what Bruno had there.
Yeah.
They had a 4-2-3-1, so it was a very attacking
very
system.
attacking.
And they brought in Sudakov, who's a great cam out of Ukraine. And then they fire the manager that brought him in right after a couple of games.
Yeah.
Does that change how long he stays there? Does it change how he develops and ends up further down in his career?
I don't know. Obviously the the higher ups at Benfica were not happy with the manager. Maybe this was an ongoing issue, managerial and kind of games aside. Maybe this was almost a personality issue. Maybe they didn't agree with each other. And obviously, kind of like the situation in Nottingham Forest right now, right? Or they sacked Nuno, not because of form, but a lot of it was Nuno didn't really like the owner that much, and obviously, that brings questions. Is that the same for Benfica, where they're a big club and maybe the manager just wasn't the right fit?
It could be something like that, where they didn't agree with certain things. It wasn't necessarily how the team was performing, but they didn't agree on certain transfer targets, how to pursue those targets, and how to he maybe didn't like his tactical stuff. He didn't like how he was using certain players.
And maybe they found, Jose was on the market and they were like, you know what, we're gonna bring him back and see how it goes. I mean, obviously it's not like they're sacking a manager and getting another guy in that is not as qualified. They're getting a very qualified manager, a journeyman manager that's been around many leagues. He understands teams, he understands players. Obviously, it didn't work out at Fenerbahce in Turkey, right? Yeah, obviously it didn't work out for him there. He wasn't that good there. So that also brings questions. It's like, is
Does
this
he still have it?
Exactly.
Is he still the special one?
Is he still the special one, or are his tactics outdated, right?
It's yet to be seen. I guess we'll find out soon.
Exactly. I mean, going back to that Qarabag game, I don't even know how to pronounce the team name. I think it's Qarabag, but it's spelled Qaraba, and the G kind of has this special character to it. That's obviously something that's not in the English language.
Yeah.
And, I look at it and it's like, well, the bad thing about that game is Benfica were up 2-0 really early on.
Yeah, I think they just got a bit complacent.
Exactly.
Wanted to sit back. Their attacking players didn't think they really needed to do much more the rest of the game.
Well, yeah, I mean, as a team like that, you feel that obviously we're playing a team that's not as good as us or way below us. And I think, the complacency just got added, right? They thought, you know what, we got this. We're up 2-0 really early on. But obviously it didn't work out. I don't know how much saves the Qarabag goalkeeper had.
Let's check that out.
Yeah, let's check that out, because obviously, that would kind of show if Benfica
He only
had
one save.
He only had one save.
Benfica put 3 shots on net all game.
Wow. So obviously Benfica just became really complacent then, because they didn't get a shot on.
They got a bit undisciplined with 11 fouls committed.
Wow. They
had 8 corners in this game too.
So obviously it was just a really poor performance from Benfica. I think Benfica as a team, though, it's crazy. I was listening to, or I was watching or looking up something, and I found something about if Jose Mourinho joining Benfica or something like that, and his first game or whatever will be a Champions League, his first Champions League game will be against Chelsea, I'm pretty sure. So it's kind of like, he's going and playing or he's managing an old club, and now he's going to be playing against another old club of his. So I think that was kind of neat, but also an extreme challenge for Benfica in the Champions League.
I mean, a win like this could potentially carry Qarabag out of the league phase and into the elimination phase. You never know how it could play out.
It could be like a Sheriff moment where...
Yeah, you never know what could happen.
That also brings up another question. It's like, do you think this league phase for the Champions League, this new format that was introduced last year, do you think that it is better than the old one with the group stage, groups, and then going to the round of 16 and so on?
I think it keeps teams on their toes.
Yep.
They don't play the same team twice.
Mm-hmm.
So they really have to fully use their tactics.
Yeah.
Force the managers to make changes when they see it's necessary.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, smaller teams might have better chances.
Yeah.
It's like, say you're Qarabag, you don't got to play Real Madrid twice.
Mm-hmm.
You might just have to play them once, and then you get some easier matchups in there that can help you out.
Yeah.
And then stealing a win from a big team like Benfica,
mm-hmm.
and then maybe you go into your next game and you play, some random team out of Poland.
Yeah.
You might have a proper chance to finally qualify
Exactly.
and bring more money into your club that way.
Yeah, it gets like extreme amounts of exposure to these smaller teams that would not necessarily get out of their group. I mean, Sheriff got out of their group back in 2021, I believe. And their group was hard. Their group, I think, included Real Madrid, and they beat them.
And then even for the players on Karabakh,
Yeah,
with performances in the Champions League, if you do well, like from their striker, he was man of the match with an 8.5.
yep,
That could be seen by bigger clubs. He could get a move and really accelerate his career and use it as a stepping stone to move on to that next level, and maybe move on to a Benfica that's a big club.
Yeah, like it's huge how big the Champions League has and how much of an impact it has, not just domestically for the teams, but also internationally for the teams, right? Like, honestly, I wouldn't have known who Karabakh was if not for that game. And it gets huge exposure to these really small clubs that necessarily, or not necessarily, they wouldn't be seen otherwise, right?
Yeah.
And now, like, I just want to talk about this Karabakh game because it's so big. You know, we talked about the discrepancy between their market values, right? And how smaller, Karabakh is as a club, but also their grounds. So their home ground, Karabakh's home ground, has only 5,800 seats.
Dang.
So I'm just thinking about that in the game. They had more people watching their game on TV, the Benfica against Karabakh, than they would have at their own home ground.
That's one thing I'm talking about home grounds.
Mm-hmm.
One thing I love about Champions League and European competition in general is, seeing like massive clubs go to smaller stadiums.
Yeah.
Teams that don't really get that exposure, or their fans don't get to go and see that team play.
Yeah.
So like you could look at the team from Kazakhstan that made it this year. They have Real Madrid coming to play at their home stadium.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a long trip.
Exactly. It's a really long trip. So, I think what it brings is just like it gets that exposure to these teams, right? And also allows the people like in wherever Karabakh plays in Azerbaijan, it allows them to really, to see these big teams, see these big players. It's huge. It's exactly what the FA Cup brings in England. It's also what the World Cup brings. The World Cup is huge because everyone can get access to it. Everyone really can watch it. And you're going to some nations like, you see Canada this year. Canada, United States, and Mexico are hosting. This is huge. I mean, it's huge for all of those clubs and nations, but it's even like bigger for Canada. Being a nation that has not hosted a World Cup before, has barely limited facilities, but kind of has this, obviously to the Canadians, it's a really big thing because the World Cup is huge, but it also brings so much more opportunities for literally everyone. I was talking to someone earlier today about it. It's like even broadcasting. The World Cup coming to Canada is huge for broadcasting because it gives so much more jobs to people in the broadcasting industry.
Well, there's just so much news coverage
Exactly.
around that whole event.
Exactly.
Across the whole continent, too. Because
I know.
It's Canada, U.S., and Mexico.
Yeah.
There's just so many more opportunities.
Yep.
To find a space in the job and show what you have at the professional level.
Mm-hmm. It's really neat to see. I am really excited to, just see it. Obviously going to the game might be a little bit far-fetched, but I think even just watching it and being like, yeah, these guys are playing in Canada is really, really big.
Just soaking in the environment and just like young kids watching the game, it can grow the soccer culture here. It can increase the infrastructure, and it can really boost the domestic leagues and players at the international level for Canada.
Yep.
Just getting more exposure, really growing everything related to football in Canada.
And, I'm really excited to see. I'm just really excited to see how the Canadian national team performs. because obviously it's home field advantage. They're going to have almost a desire to win. Like, they do have a desire to win every time, but the desire to win is so much greater because they want to win for their home crowd. And they're playing in stadiums that they've already played in. But I'm really excited to see them play in BC Place. That's like the main one I'm excited for, because BC Place is such a beautiful stadium, and I feel like that ground will be the perfect backdrop for a Canadian victory in that group stage.
I mean, just even adding on to that, like, the Canadian national team's been really hot lately.
I know.
They've picked up 3 wins in Europe.
Yep.
Which I don't think they've done in a long, long time now. And it's just like everything's falling into place to where they really have a solid chance to make it out of the group stage.
Exactly.
And even just getting a win this time around, which they couldn't get in Qatar. Whether they put up great performances, there was just that none of that final product that managers crave so dearly.
And like, just talking about Canadian national team again, like, we can go to USG or Union Saint Gilloise or Gilloise.
Yeah, the champions out of Belgium.
And the champions out of Belgium, you know, they have Promise David on their team, who is Canadian international, of course, and who in their first Champions League game of this season, they scored a penalty, or Promise David scored a penalty, which stood as the first goal in this year's Champions League.
Yeah, he's a great talent.
Yep.
He kind of came out of nowhere for them.
Exactly.
He's taken a long route from college football all the way to Malta to Lithuania. Now he's finally found a home and is really flourishing in Belgium. And that has offered him the opportunity to steal a starting spot on the Canadian national team even.
Which is like a very hard thing to do, because you look at like the strikers that we have. I mean, you're competing with one of the best strikers in Europe right now, Jonathan David.
Well, you have Jonathan David, you have Tenny Oluwaseyi, you got Kyle Larin, you got Daniel Jebison even, and then you have to add Promise David into that mix. You have 4 or 5 really strong strikers that can really help out your team score some more goals at this tournament.
Exactly.
And just like completely overhaul the attack for years and years to come.
It's going to be really interesting to see how Canada lines up with, you know, the friendlies that we're having before the World Cup, to see if they're, you know, I know that they're trying to see striker options right now. Obviously, Jonathan David is that number 1 guy. He's our guy. He's our number 9. But the one thing I can say is I'm excited to see if Promise David can get that spot, if any of the other strikers you've mentioned could get that spot, because obviously it's a very competitive spot on our team.
Yeah, definitely.
But it's something that we could use. Honestly, a 2-striker formation, if Jesse Marsh uses that might be good, because that could benefit with our you know, the really good strikers we have. Because I think Larin might start some of the first games because of his experience within the World Cup. But, you know, have 2 strikers to play off of each other. There's 2 really good strikers. Well, Larin and David know how to play off of each other. And I feel like that kind of duo could be really good coming into this World Cup.
I mean, we can even touch on other Canadians in the Champions League this year. Tajon Buchanan.
Yep.
He moved to Villarreal, formerly played for Inter.
Yeah.
He's finally started to find a footing. I mean, he's scored a hat trick in the league, and now he's getting starting minutes for a Champions League side. He played 82 against Tottenham. And his teammate, Tenny, he's on the team. He didn't play, but he's definitely looking to grab the attention of the coaches through practice, finally get some of those reps to push him to the next level.
Exactly.
And compete against guys like Promise David and Jonathan David for the starting role.
So we do have like a very bright future for this Canadian national team, and I'm excited to see how, basically just how we play in the World Cup is a really big thing. Obviously, playing, like I said, is huge, but just honestly how we play against these big teams in a competition like that, it's gonna be really neat to see. Moving back to the Champions League, we got Juve against Dortmund. right? Yeah. Juve against Dortmund. An absolute dramatic game that unfolded yesterday, which included 4 goals apiece, but 2 goals scored by Juve right at the end of the game, in like the 95th and 96th minute or something like that, 94, 95th.
Well, goals tended to come in bunches in this game.
Yeah.
Juve scored at the 63rd minute. Dortmund scored at 65. Then Juve scored again at 67. So it was like just like so many ups and downs for each fan base.
Crazy game, yeah. Like I was looking at the game. I wasn't watching, but I was looking at the game, looking at the scoreboard. It was like 2-0. It kind of like they kept scoring in bunches, like tied it up, and then they went up front and all that stuff. Beautiful goals too. Absolutely beautiful goals. Karim Adeyemi scored a beautiful one. I think Yildiz scored a really good one as well.
Yeah, in the 63rd minute, that was a nice goal.
Yeah, obviously, like 2 really good players for their respective teams. Adeyemi's always been really good for them, really good for Dortmund. Shined a couple years ago when they were in the Champions League. He was shined that season, did really well. Got a couple of Team of the Weeks on FIFA. Very pacey winger. So obviously, like, I think he's a really good player for them. And also the Dortmund admin on Instagram. So the Dortmund admin's known for their kind of crazy edits on their social media content. And Karim Adeyemi is usually in kind of the limelight when it comes to those. And Yildiz has kind of come out of, like, I wouldn't say nowhere. He was good last season, but this season he's really found his form. He got 2 goals, I think, 2 goals and assist, I think. He got 2 goals and 1 assist over their 4-3 win for Juventus against Internazionale or Inter Milan. And Yildiz has really kind of grown into being one of Turkey's best players.
Well, you see Turkey's new generation of stars coming out with Yildiz and Arda Güler.
Mm-hmm.
That's a potentially dark horse for some people.
Yep.
At the next World Cup.
Yeah. They have Altay Bayindir in net too. Absolute legend behind between the posts.
They just have so much talent coming through that country right now.
Yeah.
And I'd say that the Turkish league is peaking at the current moment, which really helps. They're bringing in a lot of talent. But
they're also like the homegrown talent that they're getting with the Turkish players. Like they're becoming that dark horse team. They remind me a lot of like Morocco in last year's World Cup, being a team that could possibly beat the Giants and go to higher levels in the tournament.
I just think that youth and pace is very, very useful at the international level.
Mm-hmm.
So having guys like Yildiz that can change the game on the turn of a dime can really level up their chances at beating a team like a Germany at the World Cup.
Speaking about Germany, I'm going to go and look up the Liverpool game right now, because the Liverpool is playing right now, I believe, at Anfield underneath the lights of the Champions League. But speaking about Germany and all them, they're winning 2-1. But I just want to talk about Florian Wirtz. Obviously, he was a big money signing for Liverpool. 130 million, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, something
like that. Absolutely insanely high transfer value. But obviously, like, I don't know. It's
been a bit of a tough start.
It's been a tough start for
Liverpool.
Him. Well, you look at Ekitike, who was another big money signing from Frankfurt. Yeah, from Frankfurt. You look at him, and he shined, being Liverpool's number 9. Florian Wirtz, for the money that he's worth, he's kind of fallen under the radar a little bit. Obviously, he's kind of getting used to that new life in Liverpool and all that stuff. But, you don't expect that from someone that has, that big of a transfer value. You don't expect him to have a rough start to a season. You expect him to, yes, he's on a new team, but, you expect him to be so much of a professional and so good at his game that he can fit into any system and he can do really well.
Yeah. You'd hope that he'd hit the ground running.
Yeah.
Especially for the price tag.
Exactly.
he hasn't cost them any points
No.
necessarily. He's just struggling to figure out the Premier League game and how it's different in England compared to Germany.
Yeah. And I mean, Liverpool is like a crazy team now all of a sudden. They make extreme big money transfers, especially in the summer transfer window, that honestly, you would think FPL rules were absolutely not thought of at all. Obviously, they definitely were, but you look at it, it's like they paid definitely they paid over 100 million for Ekitike, Wirtz. Like individually, they paid over 100 million for Ekitike, Wirtz, and Isak.
Yeah, it's a lot of money.
There's 3 players that, well, obviously that's like over 300, 400 million for 3 players, and 2 of them are strikers and one's an attacking midfielder.
And you can even look at players that go the opposite way. They go from England to Germany.
Yeah.
Players like Harry Kane.
Yeah.
He hit the ground running.
Yeah, exactly.
Right as soon as he got there. And even tonight, he's scored twice against Chelsea. He's really changed the game for Bayern, especially in the league phase.
Yeah.
In Germany, they're the team to beat. And it's really hard for other teams to beat them with a guy like Harry Kane on your team.
Well, Harry Kane's an absolute beauty. Like I mean, obviously I'm wearing the England shirt right now. I really like Harry Kane. He's done a lot for the England national team. But I'm just looking at Harry Kane. He's a striker that's a simple striker. He scores goals. But the one thing that Harry Kane's really good at is his passing ability. A lot of teams want him because, one, he can score goals and he's a finisher. He's a striker. He's not that pacey, but he makes up with that pace with his passing intelligence. His intelligence for the game and the way he passes for a striker is second to none, because obviously strikers aren't going to be passing the ball like midfielders, as their position just doesn't really allow for that. Their main goal is like a Haaland type, right? Really robotic, kind of get between the lines, get behind the defense, and score the goal. Their one job is to do that. But Harry Kane is like such a multifaceted striker, and that he could play deeper if he, towards the end of his career. Like let's say Bayern. I think Bayern does kind of do that. They kind of have Elise and all that. They kind of go forward, and I think Harry Kane drops it back a little bit just because he's slower and not as quick as them. But he makes up with that with his passing ability.
Well, just looking at his stats over the last couple of years.
Yeah.
In 24-25, he had 11 assists.
Exactly.
23-24, he had 12. And if we're looking at peak him in 2020-21, he had 17 assists at striker.
Exactly. And that would have been on Tottenham in the Premier League.
Yeah.
Like that, it's huge. Well, I was looking because I wanted to talk about Mbappe today, because obviously World Cup Mbappe is back. We are absolutely enjoying that. But obviously France is enjoying that because Mbappe is, becoming back to his former self, and he's ready for the World Cup. But I wanted to talk about that because, well, Mbappe, I was looking at his stats to see his goals and all that stuff. He only got like 3 to 4 assists per season for the past 3 seasons. And obviously you're looking at Harry Kane. 17 assists is absolutely mind-blowing for someone that's a number 9, a striker, someone that's there to score goals for you. You obviously don't expect him to be someone that will be passing the ball, but, he is an absolute legend of the game. And obviously, I mean, if you put him, you can't put Harry Kane, or you can't not put Harry Kane on a list of the best English strikers of all time.
Oh, definitely. He's definitely got to be on there.
Exactly.
I can't really think of one that's had a bigger impact anytime recently.
I would say, if you're going to say impact, like your strikers, I mean, you got Shearer. You got Shearer's impact for Blackburn and Newcastle was exponential. I don't even know what I just said. Astronomical. Thank you. But obviously, he did a lot for those clubs. But I think the closest you can say, and honestly, I mean, the better one right now, Wayne Rooney. Wayne Rooney is your top of English strikers of all time. He can do the passing that Harry Kane can do, the shooting that Shearer can do, and just all around was one of the best players I've ever seen. But granted, it's just like Harry Kane, especially in this kind of new era of football where you got your Lamine Yamal's coming in, You got, all these players, new players coming in and all that stuff. Mbappe, Harry Kane has still stood out as being one of the best number 9s that, like, one of the most world-class number 9s that we've seen in a while.
Yeah, the way he plays the game is just so effective in today's world. With so many defenders, they're getting faster.
Yeah.
Maybe him slowing down plays more to his skills.
Exactly.
Because he knows how to take on at that speed.
Mm-hmm.
He knows how to sit back as like a false 9 potentially.
Exactly. His versatility is so
really
good.
Impact a game a way that an Mbappe can't, who's always running at full speed.
Yeah.
Top of the line. Kane will maybe sit back a bit, let the ball come to him.
Yeah.
Or play the ball to his faster wingers. They draw the defenders away. He gets in the middle of the box and he gets a free goal.
Exactly. He is definitely going to be a legend of our game, and just someone that's so versatile. But also at like face value, you look at him. I mean, if you're basing it off of like FIFA rating, yes, he has a high rating, but you look at that pace and you're like, well, I don't know. So a lot of people, what they do is they judge, players off their FIFA ratings. Granted, we're not doing that because that's not how you judge a player. But obviously you look at that and be like, well, someone that doesn't really know football will look at that and be like, well, he's really slow. He obviously can shoot, but I don't know if he can pass well because he doesn't really have high passing, right? But, if you look deeper into his game, you can actually see how smart and talented he is at his game, because he plays a certain game that a lot of players don't play and all players can't play. He's so intelligent and he plays to his strengths so well that, his lack of pace is something that is not really thought of, because he can complement it so well with his passing and shooting ability.
I mean, like a guy like Mbappe,
Yep.
He's got that speed and that shooting,
yep,
which makes people, he's definitely a good player.
Yep.
He's a little bit more straight track.
Yep.
He's more play it straight forward.
Yep.
Right up the middle.
His dribbling ability is second to none. But Kane, the thing about Kane is Kane can score chances and create them.
Definitely.
Moving on to, Real Madrid. We kind of already touched on Mbappe a little bit. We're going to touch on him again. Real Madrid, 2-1 against Marseille. Obviously, Mbappe was an absolute pen merchant that game. But he took his chances well and didn't miss. So, obviously, Real Madrid won. But, I was just looking like Kylian Mbappe, to me, is definitely, you talk about the Messis and Ronaldos of this generation, right? So the new generation, obviously Messi and Ronaldo are still playing and are still at that high echelon. But obviously you look at them and I always look at them and like, well, who is the Messi and Ronaldo of this day and age? Like, who do little kids look at and be like, yeah, that's my Messi and Ronaldo? Obviously Messi and Ronaldo are still there and a lot of people still have them as the best, right? But Mbappe would probably be on that list.
Mbappe and Erling Haaland would definitely be on a lot of people's minds.
It's kind of Mbappe, Erling Haaland, and then Lamine Yamal's coming up. Obviously,
he's being added to that mix.
He's been added to the mix, right? And obviously, with the Ballon d'Or coming up, maybe he becomes the youngest Ballon d'Or winner, and maybe he becomes that high echelon player because Erling Haaland and Mbappe haven't won a Ballon d'Or. So obviously, people are going to kind of say Lamine Yamal is better than them because he's won the Ballon d'Or. But if you talk about Mbappe and his influence on the game, I go back to that World Cup final of 2022. No player in their mind should score 3 goals and not win the game. Like, it's almost unheard of, right? He carried that team. And he's shown that he can carry a French team that is so densely packed with the biggest names in the world. He's shown that he can be that number one guy.
And even just touching on other French players around the Champions League this year.
Yeah.
Marcus Thuram of Inter. He scored 2 header goals today, assisted by Çalhanoğlu, both off of the corner.
And the game that he had against Internazionale, right? We're talking about
Marcus Thuram.
Okay, so
Inter.
That's the Inter one, yeah. So obviously the game he had against Juventus then, because there's 2 Thurams, Both the brothers are seeing that famous photo, both of them together. I think they were talking about a ref's decision or something, or they were reacting to the ref's decision, or something like that. But it was just funny because both of them are brothers, and obviously they have a very famous father, French international, Lilian Thuram. Yeah, Lilian Thuram. And obviously obviously he reached a higher peak, but I mean, the Thurams are very good as well.
And even just talking about Çalhanoğlu, he's a very underrated player in my opinion.
Yep.
He's always consistently putting up goals and assists. He never really gets talked about as like an impact player or a key player to the team.
I remember Çalhanoğlu before he got onto Inter.
AC Milan?
No, Hamburg.
Oh, way back in the day.
So way back in the day.
1914. 13-14.
13-14. Okay, I'm like that old. He's been around that much time.
Yeah, he's over 100 years old.
Yeah, he's over 100 years old. An absolute legend of the game, one to remember. But no, so when he was playing for Hamburg, obviously he wasn't seen. Like, not a lot of people knew him. Not a lot of people know like players that aren't on the big nations, right? He's from Turkey, he plays for Turkey. But what kind of started people being like, yeah, this guy's good. He scored a free kick from like 40 yards out or something like that, like close to the middle line actually. And it was one of the best free kicks I've ever seen. And that's how I knew him, because I think he scored on Hamburg, I'm pretty sure. Because I remember the jerseys, they had the Hamburg logo, but at that point it was like red, and they had these like red stripes to them. Oh. They were kind of ugly, but that was when Hamburg was back. That was when Hamburg was in the Bundesliga. Granted, they're back in the Bundesliga now, but that was when they were in the Bundesliga before, and that's how I know Çalhanoğlu. But yeah, going off what you said, Çalhanoğlu is that one guy. Like, he's very good. He, in my opinion, carried that midfield line back when Inter got to the Champions League final. Last year. Obviously, the game didn't go into their favor, losing 5-0 against PSG, but he brought them there, right? Think of the teams they were facing. I mean, Jan Sommer did really well, their goalkeeper, but they faced Barcelona in the semis. Barcelona was a team that was rumored to be the team to win the Champions League. Other than PSG, they were the number 2, right? And obviously, it didn't work out, but I mean, actually, even when Inter got to the Champions League final against Manchester City, Çalhanoğlu was one of the main guys in that midfield to get them there.
He's been a driving force for years now.
Yeah.
And you can see it this year, even in the Champions League.
Mm-hmm.
He's already got 2 assists in the first game. And this year in general, he's already got 4 goal contributions of 4 games.
Mm-hmm.
Just like really driving that whole team through the center. And she's been there for so long, and he's had such an impact for years that the team's almost built around him a bit.
Exactly.
And he's seen it change, so he's changed with it.
Exactly. It's just something like it's really neat. I always like the players that are from nations. Obviously, Turkey is a very big footballing nation, but to someone from Canada that was, kind of watching hockey growing up and all that stuff and got into football, I always like seeing players of these nations that you wouldn't see, right? You wouldn't see Turkish hockey players as often as you would soccer players or football players. And it's often something that I like to see. I like to see these nations. Well, you look at the lad that plays for Man City.
Yeah, Kushinov. He's out of Uzbekistan.
Yeah, Uzbekistan.
He's brought that team to the World Cup for the first time ever.
Exactly. And
Uzbekistan qualified through the Asian World Cup qualifiers.
Yep.
It didn't look like in doubt at any point.
No.
And that's just another impact of like even just having one player starting to gain recognition at higher levels can really bring up the entire soccer culture around a nation.
Exactly.
Like Uzbekistan that you never really think of when you're speaking of international football matches.
Exactly.
And if you do, you don't really think of them as winning those matches, especially.
Exactly. And I mean, Canada was kind of on that kind of thing where it was like a lot of Canada's not really a big footballing nation. Granted, it's getting bigger now, But obviously, when we qualified for the World Cup, it was huge.
It was a big shock for a lot of people.
It was a big shock for a lot of. It was a big shock for me.
Over Costa Rica, even.
Exactly, and we were playing
who we now consider to be one of our lower tier opponents, maybe.
I know, and we've grown so fast too. But if you look at that game, or look at any of the games we played in the World Cup, you see the teams we were facing in that group. That group was like the hardest group I've ever seen. You had Belgium, Croatia, and I'm pretty sure Morocco was in our group.
Yeah, it was definitely a
so you had
tough
like
group
it
for
was
us.
the biggest group of death, you could say. So like group of death meaning like basically a group that has very top teams in it. And Canada was one of them. And obviously we scored. Granted, we didn't do great, but it was a big step forward for our Canadian national team to say, you know what? Maybe we can play in international competitions. Maybe us as Canada, it shouldn't be a easy win. Maybe we can give it to these big teams and we can show why our nation is actually a footballing nation and not just a hockey one, right?
Yeah, and I mean, I'm sorry, just to go back to Kane here.
That's fine.
His 2 goals today.
Yep.
Means he scored 20 goals for Bayern in the Champions League.
That's absolutely crazy.
And it takes Kane alongside Neymar and Cristiano as one of only 3 players who've scored 20 or more goals for 2 different teams in the Champions League.
Yeah.
Which just really drives home how much of an elite player he is.
Exactly. And I feel like people say that, but obviously people don't put him up there as one of the best players in the world. And I think Kane, I know he's playing for Bayern Munich, and Bayern Munich is kind of that, you would say, farmers league, but Bayern Munich is still a good team around Europe. Like, they're still a very good team. So obviously it's just really neat to see an Englishman in the Bundesliga scoring goals for Bayern Munich. And also just like the way that he's, like we said, the way that he's gone from Tottenham to Bayern, and it's like nothing changed. It's like he never left. The player that he is so good that he can adapt to the system so quickly that he's just like one of the best. Honestly, he's one of the best players I've seen.
Oh, definitely.
Watching England play, he's really good on the English national team. But just even Tottenham, like the fact that, Tottenham, yes, no trophies, all that stuff. But you can't say Harry Kane is not good because he hasn't won trophies, right? Individually as a player, Harry Kane is a very good player. And I feel like the team that he was playing for, of course, Tottenham, they beat Man United in the Europa League, which, because I'm a Man United fan, I cried about for around 3 days. But obviously, he wasn't there, but that doesn't matter because he won another title at Bayern Munich. And I feel like titles shouldn't be something that defines a player as being really good, because obviously a team wins those. I think to show that they're really good is obviously their stats, their goals, their assists, how they command themselves. And I feel like Kane is one of those players that really commands himself. All right, we're talking about Kane a lot today.
He's a great player.
He's a great player, but we are trying to basically say he's the best player of all time at this point.
He's up there.
Yeah, I know he's up there. Speaking about Kane being an Englishman, I want to talk about Arsenal a little bit, even though I'm not an Arsenal fan, but you have to see, we have to talk about at least their Champions League game. They beat Athletic Bilbao 2-1, or was it 2-0? 2-0. They beat them 2-0, but there was kind of this like unlikely heroes to the game. It was kind of funny. So they had 2 goals, and they were after the first half, and 2 people got subbed on for them. These 2 people are very important in this kind of breakdown of the game, and that is Martinelli, Gabriel Martinelli, and Trossard. Trossard also obviously being Belgian, and Martinelli is Brazilian, but that doesn't matter. But they got into the game and they went off and scored 2 goals. Between them, they got a goal and an assist. So Martinelli scored, Trossard got an assist to that. Trossard scored, Martinelli got the assist. Unlikely heroes, as they're not the people. Like, I think Martinelli a couple years ago, Martinelli was viewed as being a very promising winger for them, but obviously he's kind of fallen off a little bit.
Well, like even Arsenal, they tried to replace both of them this year.
I know.
They brought in Eze and Madueke, who both started this
They
game.
both started the game, yeah.
And they've started their league games too. And they get subbed off, and the guys that they were supposed to be replacing come on and have a bigger impact on the game than them in the end.
I'm just gonna go to see what was their ratings in the game. Eze and
Eze had a 7.4. Madueke had a 6.7. And then the two that scored had a 8.2 and an 8.3, respectively, the two best players in the match.
Yep.
And talking about another player that's had a really big impact for Arsenal this season is Christian Mosquera, who they brought from Valencia for 13 million.
Yeah.
He's really been a big help for them this year.
Yep.
Considering Saliba got injured right at the beginning of the season.
Yeah, and
he doesn't look out of space at all on this world-class defense that Arsenal has, playing against other world-class teams.
Exactly.
At only 21, he's proven to be a great defender for them and a bargain buy for 13 million.
I think as well, I mean, you got to talk about the big guy, Victor Gyökeres as well. But he was kind of silent in the Champions League. You know, last year for Sporting, he was scoring in the Champions League willingly. And, you know, he was kind of quiet. And obviously, I mean, for any of his, like, first games with Arsenal, so his first game in the Champions League, his first game for Arsenal, he was quiet. So I don't think he will be quiet. Obviously, they won last weekend with two good goals, 3-0. They won 3-0 against Notts. Was that the game? I think it was.
Yes.
But you had 2 goals by Zubamendi, who's another signing that they did, who's played really well. He came from Real Sociedad, and obviously he's kind of got running and he did really well. Scored probably one of the best goals of the season so far, which was like a little half volley from outside the box into the net. Beautiful goal.
I mean, if we can even touch on some of the derby matches that happened last Premier League week.
Do we have to?
We had a couple derbies that happened.
Yep.
Some more so than others.
Yeah.
Like Brentford and Chelsea, technically it's a derby, but no one really considers that. But you had the West Ham Tottenham derby, and then you also had the Manchester derby.
Yep.
Both ending in 3-0 scorelines.
Yeah.
For the wrong teams, if you're asking us.
Yeah. Should I rip the Band-Aid off here and just talk about Manchester United?
You might as well.
Okay, so I can go on like a complete rant about Manchester United on air. Granted, I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna keep calm. I'll just talk about the game that we had last weekend. Obviously, it was a shambolic display by the Reds, the Red Devils. It was not a great game. You know, losing 3-0 to a team like Manchester City at Manchester City's ground, the Etihad, is something that I really don't want to see again. Obviously, we had a good record against Manchester City in the past couple of Manchester derbies. I think we were like at least we won 2 of the last couple of them. Granted, we lost in the FA Cup one year, but then we beat them the next year, I believe. We beat them again the following year with the beautiful Amad Diallo goal right at the end. But you know, this game we lost 3-0, which, I mean, to a team, losing 3-0 sucks. But if we at least played well, I would be like, you know what? I mean, it's Manchester City. Obviously, the odds of us winning that game are very low. But with Manchester United, I don't know. I after the game, I was like, Amorim is not really a good fit for us. He's really strict with the system. He wants to keep with the system. And obviously, it's not working. And being someone that's so strict in his system, being like, it'll work, it's obviously not worked. The one problem that Man United still has, you know, obviously you talk about Højlund. Højlund left, he scored against Napoli, or with Napoli, in his first game. So was he the problem for us not scoring goals? Probably not. But then you saw Šeško in the game against Manchester City. He started the game, his first start as a Manchester United player, but he barely got any touches with the ball. But he barely got past. Like, he barely got past you. And I always look at that, I'm like, you know what? How does Man United not be able to pass to their strikers? And I felt like, obviously we didn't score, but we didn't really have good chances. We had a couple of good chances, but Donnarumma, who started for Manchester City, was absolutely lights out for the chances that we had. Beautiful volley by Mbeumo came in, beautiful save. A shot by Shesko was kind of nice, confidently taken down. But it's just something to me, it's just like, well, what can Man United do to change? Because obviously we haven't changed from last season. And I just think, I don't know. I honestly don't know how Man United really, like, I just was so dumbfounded to see that we hadn't changed. We got new signings. We got the players that we wanted. You know, it just kind of puts to question, how long do we give Amorim time before, as he would put it, the good days will come?
I mean, another team that's struggling is my team, West Ham United.
Yeah.
We've won one game all year.
I mean, same with us.
So, yeah, same boat. I'm also unhappy with our manager.
Yeah.
But we had a really great first half.
Yeah.
Where we were maybe the better team.
Well,
not towards the end of the first half.
That's like Man United. We get the first 15 minutes of the game. Man United's the best team. Looks like they've changed, and then they get a goal scored on them, and it sinks in, and we just don't play good for the rest of the game.
Well, same thing happened here. Right after halftime, 2 minutes later, Tottenham goes up 1-0.
Yep.
Few minutes after that, Thomas Suchek gets a straight red for dangerous tackle.
It was a dangerous tackle. The guy that he tackled, right, his leg was like cut up.
And then even 3 minutes after that, Tottenham scores again.
Yep.
To make it 2-0. And then that's when you see Potter kind of try and make some changes, maybe help him out a bit.
Yep.
Because, you know, you're down a man, you're down 2 goals, you don't want to concede more.
Exactly.
But I don't think he really puts the right players on for that. He's known for trusting the youth.
Yeah.
And he put on one of our new signings, Sengutu Magasa, in his debut, that's a tough debut.
Yeah, against Tottenham. Was it at Tottenham or was it at?
No, it was
London?
At home,
London Stadium.
And then he also subbed on Luis Guilherme for Crescencio Somerville.
Yeah.
Who it's his first game back after a collarbone injury.
Wow.
And then 3 minutes after those subs come on, they score again.
Yeah.
So clearly things aren't working out with his system.
Yeah.
Even though he's changed, he was doing a back 5, which didn't work at all.
Yep.
We switched to a back 4. We win one game, and then we just go out and get battered again in the same formation. So it's a really confusing how he doesn't see change needs to happen.
Yeah.
Maybe give other people starting opportunities, and even look at youth from your own academy.
Yeah.
Because our academy, they beat MK Dons 5-1, where you had players like Freddie Potts.
Well, that's the same
and Preston Fearon scoring goals.
Yeah. I mean, that's the same as Man United's academy, though, right? Our academy wins a lot, and we do really well. It's just when they just never get a chance in the first team.
A lot of our great academy players or players from the past that are considered club legends all came through that academy. But now I don't even know if there's anyone in our starting lineup who's actually come through that academy.
Really?
I don't think anybody.
So obviously something's not connecting between the academy and the first team, which it should.
And he was giving these players chances in preseason. They proved to be very effective.
Yeah.
Especially someone like Freddie Potts.
Yeah.
He was great in CDM, and he hasn't touched the field at all.
I feel like
in the actual league season.
Yeah.
So it just feels like he needs to go back to his roots a bit, maybe, and give those young players proper opportunities to make themselves useful to him.
Yeah.
And provide something that maybe an older player like a James Ward-Prowse or a Thomas Suchek can't do as well.
I think another thing that you know West Ham has a problem with, it's the same with Man United at this point. It's scoring goals. But one thing that you're missing, right? You're missing that Michael Antonio type player, right? You're missing your striker.
Well, yeah, we have Fulkrug.
The GOAT,
and
man.
Callum Wilson. Those are two
Yeah,
top strikers.
and they're
But I
aging,
think
right?
maybe we should look back at like our academy again. We
Exactly.
have Callum Marshall, who played
Yeah.
in the championship last season.
There you go.
And he had 11 goals.
And you also have a team like with West Ham. You're a big club, but you have less expectation than a Manchester United. So obviously, if you don't get relegated, that's fine. But if you don't get relegated, but you're playing your young players, then next season your young players grow. They've got minutes in the Premier League, and a lot of the time, look at Man United in '92, right, or the class of '92. Man United were in a position that they were winning the league, but we decided to get our youth players up and playing for our team, and look what happened. Look at Manchester United now. Manchester United obviously is nowhere near what we used to be. But this is one of the years it's like, so Man United have this streak basically where since Alex Ferguson's been managing, we've had a youth player from our academy in our first team squad every single year since I forgot what year. But that streak could be broken because right now, other than Manu, if Manu leaves, that means we don't have that next season.
Oh, isn't Diallo from your academy?
No, I don't believe so. I believe, maybe, but I know Manu is from our academy. But granted, we have good players from our academy, though. We have Cheeto Obi and Aiden Heaven, not from our academy. Actually, no, they weren't from our academy, though. Yeah, no, because they weren't homegrown players. We got them from our team.
Those guys are from Arsenal.
Yeah, like this is like homegrown players. Granted, they might be playing in our academy, but they're not from our academy. Because we've loaned a lot of ours out. Because I believe Collier was, but he's been loaned out. And obviously Harry Amas was, and Gore. But obviously all those players have been loaned out or sold. So obviously we're relying too heavily on our main players. I feel that Manchester United, it's hard for them to change right now. I think we just got to look to next weekend. I think we're playing Chelsea. And obviously, I think Ruben Amorim's job might be on the line. I don't know. I think his job security might get even lower if we lose against Chelsea, because it just shows that our team is not there yet. But maybe, a new manager might bring, like both of our teams, might bring a new light to the team. I think for Manchester United especially, we need a manager that knows how to manage big name players, but is also managed in the big leagues and the big names. For a West Ham, obviously, you need a manager that's good with young players. So you look to Erik ten Hag. He needs a job.
No, thank you.
And all that stuff. All right, so we have 2 minutes left of this episode. We've talked about the Champions League. We've talked about Harry Kane, Ignatium. We've also talked about Kylian Mbappe, World Cup year Mbappe. Let's quickly talk about one player or a couple players in Team of the Week 1. So EAFC, obviously, 26 is coming out on Friday, the big release for the Ultimate Edition. And they've released their Team of the Week 1 today. There's some good players. Notably, there's Haaland, obviously scoring 2 goals last week against Manchester United. I think that's a really good move. Really good player. Harry Kane, he got one.
Makes sense.
Yeah, he scored 1 goal and 1 assist for being Hamburg, who we talked about with Channel Algu, 5-0. So not great for Hamburg fans, obviously, with the crazy, I love it, the goal sound. And there's one more guy, is Jadon Philogene. He had a hat trick in the EFL Championship, of course, and has a really good card, 84.
Well, it's got a great image on it too.
Great image too.
He's kind of doing like the nana nana boo boo to the away fans, or the away fans that are there, and he's a player that he's played for a lot of English teams.
Yep.
He played for Hull. Yep. I'm pretty sure Aston Villa bought him.
That's cool.
I think he's probably out on loan to Ipswich.
But he's done well.
But he's a player that's come through the English ranks.
Yeah.
He's really making a name for himself. And he's putting statement performances like that on his pedigree.
Yeah.
And something that he hopes to do every week.
Yep.
And like really change that team, maybe bring Ipswich back to the Premier League next season.
Yep. All right. So it's now time to end the show. I just want to say thank you for whoever listened. And maybe watching the video if we post it on YouTube. Not really sure yet. But thank you to everyone. Thanks, Zach, for helping me host this nice show on the Yellow. And we'll be back next week on Wednesday, same time, 2 to 3, talking about something about the beautiful game. So please come back and listen to that. That being said, see you later. Zach, if you want to say goodbye, we can.
Au revoir.
There you go. All right. See you later.